state case turn federal? When I asked Steve Greenberg how did the state case that I beat in 2008 be brought back 13 years later, and not only that, how could it be a federal case all these years later? Steve Greenberg said to me that it shouldn't have been done because it's double jeopardy. But they're saying now that I bribed the alleged girl and her family to say it wasn't her on the tape, which is 1,000,000% not true. And as I said to Steve Greenberg, that even if that were true, that would mean that the mother, the father, the alleged girl, her uncles, and her grandmother took money to allow a grown man to have sex with her underage daughter, granddaughter, and niece. And Steve Greenberg said to me that I was exactly right, and what they're saying sounded ridiculous, especially 13 years later. And I asked, how would a jury or anyone else react to that if the parents, grandmother, and uncles got up on the stand and say they got paid to allow a grown man to have sex with their 15-year-old family member? And he said it would really look really, really bad for all of them, especially the parents. After a couple of weeks had passed, Steve Greenberg came back to the MCC to meet with me again, and this time he told me that the prosecutors had changed their story. That the prosecutors had changed their story as far as the alleged girl on the tape. Now the prosecutors are saying that instead of bribery, that I intimidated them. So why would they change their story? Because the prosecutor knows also how bad it would look if they had put the alleged girl and her uncle's grandmother, and especially her mother and father, on the stand in front of a jury in the world and say that they took money and basically pimped their daughter. How bad would they look? And how could it possibly backfire on them? So the prosecutors decided to not go that route and say I intimidated and threatened the alleged girl and her family to not saying, which again is 1,000,000% false. Because if I had intimidated and threatened the alleged girl and her family, then why did the alleged girl and her family, especially her mom and dad, continue being around me? Living at my house, coming to my shows, in and out of town, celebrating Thanksgiving, Christmas, and other holidays with me. Why would they continue coming to my birthday parties, and I will go and celebrate the alleged girl birthday parties and also go see her father's band play at different clubs, which was one was the Hard Rock Cafe downtown, and that was in 2016. We all continue being like family. They would support me with my music career, and I would support them when it came to her father's music band, her brother's music band. They even came to my birthday party at my studio on 219 North Justine Street in 2018, which was around the time the Lifetime docuseries was out all over the world, having me with little girls trapped in basements was all out there, and just millions of rumors all over social media about me. And the alleged girl, her mom, and her dad, and her family knew about all of those rumors and were still coming around me. We were hanging out with each other at cigar bars and everywhere until I got arrested. There are even texts on my phone where the alleged girl asked me on the text to come to the studio that she was working in. And this was about a month before my arrest. So, how could I have intimidated the alleged girl, her mom, her dad, and her family back in 2008, and we remained like family all the way up to my arrest in 2018? And one more thing before I shut it down for tonight. Even if they change their minds again that I bribed the alleged girl and her family then why, after all these years, are they still living in the same house, in the same hood that they were staying in way before they ever met me to this day? When you threaten someone and intimidate them, you're basically saying you're going to hurt them or even kill them if they were to do or say something that you told them not to do or say. And that's what the prosecutors, in my case in Chicago, are saying I did to the alleged girl and her family. And that makes no sense at all, because there is all kinds of proof that me, the alleged girl, her mom and dad were really close and were like family all the way up until my arrest in 2018. And here's some more proof. Number one, the alleged girl and her family was still coming to my home in Olympic Fields during the 6 years I was going to court, and they would even spend the night all the time. Number two, the alleged girl's father played the guitar on my albums in the studio in Olympic Fields during the 6 years I was going to court, and even after I was acquitted. And the father credits for playing guitar on my albums, in which those albums have dates on which they came out. Number three, the prosecutors claim that during the court case, I sent the alleged girl to a boarding school so that they could not find her and bring her to court to testify. That is total bullshit. Because there is proof of not only her still coming to the house in the Olympic Fields with her mom and dad and still living there off and on, but the alleged girl was also worked at a daycare center just 3 blocks down from the house in the Olympic Fields. And she worked there for almost 3 years. And at the time she was working at the daycare center, I was either still going to court or had been found innocent and the court case was over. But my point is, I never hid the alleged girl, never had to hide her or anyone. And besides, if I had sent her to a boarding school, the prosecutors would have still been able to find her, because all they would have had to do is run her name or ask her mom or dad or grandmother or uncles. From the time that I was acquitted in 2008, I have done multiple tours. And on some of these shows I had out of town, there were flights and hotels booked for the alleged girl and her parents here and there while I would be out of town on those tours. And mostly every time I would come to Chicago while on tour, the alleged girl and her parents, and even a lot of her family members would call and ask for tickets to my show, and I would make sure that they had them. And most of the time after the show, they would go with me on my tour bus to the after party, whether it was at my studio, a club, or my home. And all of these things were happening during the 6 years of me going to court. And after me being acquitted, all the way up to me being arrested for the same case involving the same alleged girl in 2018. Steve Greenberg, who is my lawyer, when I got arrested by the feds, also told me that the case became federal because the prosecutor claimed they found an old VCR recording in the alley of the back of my studio on 219 North Justin Street, which is another piece of their bullshit. Because even if they did, there are 3 buildings connected to the building my studio was in. And in the back of the alley of those buildings were 3 big garbage dumpsters, which means if they did find a camcorder or whatever it was, it could have been anybody's. Question? Did they dust the camcorder or whatever it was for fingerprints? Did the camcorder have R. Kelly written on it? Did the camcorder have a tape in it with me on it doing anything illegal or otherwise? And even if that was the case, why would you throw a video camera away with the tape in it if I was doing anything wrong on that tape or otherwise? See? The truth is is that there is no camera with my fingerprints on it. Why? Because the prosecutors lied. They never retrieved the camera from the back of my studio in the alley where those 3 huge garbage dumpsters, where if they found anything, it could have been anybody's that worked in those buildings. But let me make this clear as to why the prosecutors needed to say they found a video camera in the back of my studio in a garbage can, because they needed to connect me with a camera so they can say that I used it to do illegal things. And then say the camera was made out of the city of Illinois, and it was made out of the city of Illinois by the prosecutors, making it look like it's my camera and I've done something illegal with it. And then say that the camera was made out of the city of Illinois. And if it's made out of the city of Illinois, and by the prosecutor making it look like it's my camera and I've done something illegal with it, and the camera was not made in Illinois, would make it interstate commerce. Which is why they needed to place a damn camera in the back of my studio in the garbage can that was made somewhere else, just to put the interstate commerce on this case and make it federal. I do not know how to make all of this up. And I'm writing all of this because I am scared out of my mind, because I get the feeling that somebody, a lot of somebodies, do not want the right people to know any of the truth that I'm telling you. I just want to come home. I just want my life back, and I pray to God that this letter makes it safely to your hands. Because I wrote all this information during the course of my 2 years that I was in Chicago MCC locked up, because I was going to share with my lawyers once they brought me to New York. But unfortunately, they would not let me bring my legal work on the plane when they were getting ready to bring me to New York in 2021. And after I made it to New York and started preparing for trial, even though the marshals told me that my legal work would be in New York and I would get it the next day after I arrived, after I got to New York, I started asking about my legal work all the way up to the trial. Then during the trial, all the way up to the verdict. But for some reason, they did not give me my legal work until weeks after I was found guilty. So I never had a chance to go over any of what I had written down for my attorneys, and especially my new attorneys, who I did not hire until I got to New York. And when I finally got my legal work 2 weeks after I was found guilty, it was 6 big boxes, and when I opened it up, it was stuff all over the place. And I could not find most of my legal work. So I had to pay a few inmates to write down a lot of the things I said before, going back 2 years all over again. And I just hope it's not too late. By me getting my legal work, which had all of my notes and my story about my case, to get it 2 weeks after I was found guilty? Damn.
We here now. Damn, I wish I was pushing the act. Damn, I wish I was pushing the act. Damn, I wish I was pushing the act. I had no haps if I was pushing the act. Damn. I wish I was pushing the act.